Hello, today we're going to look at a topic called relations and ordered pairs. And maybe we want to just sometimes think about, why are we looking at this anyway? Who came up with this stuff? Well, there was a man named Descartes. So this is Mr. Descartes. Now, he must not have had much time on his hands, because as he lay in bed at night, he would look up at his ceiling. One night, he saw a fly. He wondered to himself, I wonder if we could use some way to tell somebody the location of that fly. So he decided to use the corner of his room as a starting point to give a location for the fly. And the thing that he came up with is similar to what we have with a number line. So first, he thought of one number line, a straight line with numbers placed at equal intervals or segments along its length. So he thought about that one number line where you have the 0 represented in the middle. You go this way and you have positive numbers, and you go this way and you have negative numbers. And then he put together what we call the coordinate plane. So the coordinate plane you see here not only had a number line that went this direction, but he added in a number line going this direction. And where those two number lines cross has a name. This is the horizontal number line. It is going along the same way as the horizon. He gave this thing the name the x-axis. Then up and down through here was the vertical axis, which he named the y-axis. So then, if he could tell how far along left and right and how far up and down that fly was on his ceiling, then he would know a location that everyone would be able to relate to later and also know where that fly was. Now, these two axes form 4 sections. So you can see we have a section here, then over here, down here, over here. These are called quadrants. So this is quadrant 1. Now most of the time a Roman numeral is used, but it is okay if we use just a regular number. Then this section is quadrant 2. And this section is quadrant 3. And this section is quadrant 4. So when Mr. Descartes came up with this idea of locating things, he decided that using 2 number lines would be a great way to do that. They would meet at a center point. That was named the origin. There would be a vertical axis called the y-axis. There would be a horizontal axis called the x-axis. And then this would be used to locate things in a coordinate plane. Well, this idea is used a lot in our day and time. Still today, way back when Mr. Descartes came up with it, it's still used. We use a coordinate system, a way of locating things in the world. We call that latitude, which would be our x-axis, which is the equator of the Earth. And then we have our y-axis, we called in locating things on the Earth, longitude. And there is a line that we call the prime meridian. And that goes through a place in Greenwich, England. And where that lines come together is that point by which we find everything else in the world. This is the system that Google Earth uses to locate things in the world, because every place in the world has a latitude and longitude that tells its location. So here we have Northside High School. So Northside High School, you might be looking familiar to you. You might can see some different places in the school. I think your classroom's somewhere right in here for those of you who attend Northside. Those of you who don't, this is their school. And you will see here that we have these places I talked about. We got the equator, the prime meridian, the North Pole and the South Pole. We've got our directions also of east and west. We have that notation that I told you that the prime meridian passes through Greenwich, England, and we could refer that to as our y-axis going up and down through here. The equator is going around the center of the earth, around the middle of the earth. It goes around the middle. And this right here is where Northside High School is located in the world. This is what is used. 35 degrees, 32 hours, 11 minutes north, 76 degrees, 44 minutes. That's actually minutes. I messed that up. Sorry about that. So it's 35 degrees, 32 minutes, 11 seconds, and 76, 44 minutes, 3 seconds west. And so if you look right here on this map, if you go north and west, then you're going to be over here. This right here is South America. This is North America. And America, United States of America, is located in this quadrant, which the northwest quadrant is right there. And that is where Northside High School is located at. Now, I'm second guessing myself on how to read the latitude and longitude, but I hope I got that right for you. But it is the location, 35 degrees, 32 minutes, 11 seconds north, and 76 degrees, 44 minutes, 33 seconds west. So that is just how they located. It's the exact location of the school in relation to this middle point where the prime meridian and the equator come together. And that's pretty cool because Google Earth is really cool to mess with if you ever get a chance. And you can play around with going different places in the world. So here is a coordinate plane, and you have a blank one on your notes too. So let's just label the different parts. So we have this point in the middle right here, and it is called the origin. So if you want to label yours, that's the origin. We're just practicing to know all our parts. This axis here is called the x-axis. The one going up and down is called the y-axis. And these two the number lines, the x-axis, the horizontal, this is horizontal. This is the vertical axis going up and down. Those two number lines divide the coordinate plane into 4 sections. Quadrant 1, and we're just going to use, we're not going to use the Roman numerals. Quadrant 1, Quadrant 2, Quadrant 3, and Quadrant 4. So there's 4 quadrants. Got the origin, the x-axis, the y-axis. Horizontal is going this way towards the horizon. Would be the equator, if you want to think of it that way. And then you have the y-axis going up and down through here. And so this is our coordinate plane, and we're going to learn how to take points and put them on there. But there had to be a system to this. So to find a location on this coordinate plane right here, you need a point. It's an ordered pair. It's in the form, it's got a parentheses, and the first number represents the x coordinate, and the second number represents the y coordinate. So it is an ordered pair in which the x, where the point is located along the x-axis, comes first, and then where the point is located along the y-axis comes second. And you'll end up in different places out here in the different points as we look at this. But there is a certain order to it, and that's very important to remember. So we are going to locate these points. So point A is going to be at 2, 3. 2 is the x coordinate, 3 is the y coordinate. Begin at the origin each time. So I'm going to begin here at the origin, and I'm going to go to the right 2 on this number line. And I'm going to go up 3, and right here at this point is the location of point A. Now I'm going to erase this part here because I don't want it to interrupt, but I just wanted to show you that. So the first number is where along the x-axis is this point located, and then where along the y-axis is it located. So you've got to go 2 to the right and 3 up, and that will label point A. Point B. Begin in the middle at the origin where the two number lines come together. This time I'm going to go to the -4 on the x-axis, and then I'm going to go to +4. So this point B is going to be located right there. Again, let me erase that part. So -4 along the x, and then +4 this direction. So you want to go along the x-axis and get to where your point is, and then either go up or down on the y-axis to get to your other point. So point B is located right there. Point C, -3, -4. So we're going to start in the origin, and the negative go on the x-axis, the x number line, the number line for the x-axis, that horizontal number line first, 3, and then we'd end up going down 4, and that's where point C would be located. So point C is located right there. Again, I went to -3 on the x and then down 4 to find the location of that. Letter D. Make it green. 2, -3. So starting at the origin, I'm going to go to the right 2. That's my x coordinate. Where on the x-axis do I go? Then I'm going to go down 3, and point D is going to be right there. Now for E. It has a 0 for the x-coordinate, so I start right here in the center. The x-coordinate, I don't go left or right any, I go straight up 5 for the y-coordinate, and point E ended up there. So on that one, there is a 0 for the x, so I do not have to go left or right at all. I just have to go up 5 because the second number tells me how to go up and down along the y-axis. Then the last one is -3, 0, so I'm going to go to the left 3, but then I'm not going to go anywhere. We can talk about the location of these points. A is in quadrant 1. B is in quadrant 2. C is in quadrant 3. D is in quadrant 4. E is on the y-axis, and F is on the x-axis. So they can either be in a quadrant or on the axis. So those are the ways we can talk about those points. So let's talk about the types of points that are in each quadrant or on the axis. So let's talk about quadrant 1. When we are looking for points in quadrant 1, both the x and the y will be positive numbers. We have the x values in the quadrant 1 are along the positive x-axis and the positive y-axis. Let's think about quadrant 2. In quadrant 2, look along the x-axis, those numbers are negative, and on the y-axis in that section, the numbers are positive. So in quadrant 2, your x will be a negative number and your y will be a positive number. Now let's look at quadrant 3. My x numbers are negative and my y numbers are negative. So I'm along the negative portion of the x-axis and the negative portion of the y-axis. Then we'll look at quadrant 4. In quadrant 4, I'm on the positive side of the x-axis, but I'm on the negative part of the y-axis. So this just lets you know if you can learn more and more about the coordinate plane, it will help you. Now, any point along this y-axis, the x value is going to be 0, and then we're going to have somewhere along that y, but the first value is going to be a 0. Now, along this axis here, you're going to have an x number, but the y value is going to be 0. And that's how you land on an axis. Either the x is 0 and you land on the y-axis, or the y is 0 and you land on the x-axis. And that tells you more about locating things on this coordinate plane. So what is a relation? Because the name of our lesson was Relations in Ordered Pairs. Where a relation is just a set of ordered pairs. And a graph is one way to represent it. Here's ordered pairs written as a set. You just have these braces on the end here. And then you have the ordered pairs in their little parentheses with the x first and the y second. You can also write the ordered pairs as a chart. So here's a chart where we have our x's, same ones as above, our x values and our y values. So when there's negative 2, 3, there's negative 2, 3. 4, 1, 4, 1. 5, negative 3, 5, negative 3. Negative 5, negative 1, negative 5, negative 1. And now I'm going to locate these points on the graph. So the first one is negative 2, so go to the negative on the x-axis and positive 3 on the y-axis. The second point, we're going to go to the positive 4 and the positive 1. The next one, we're going to go to positive 5 and negative 3. And the next one, we're going to go to negative 5 and negative 1. So now this relation has been written as a set of ordered pairs, as a chart, and as a graph. So there you can look at them in different ways. So one thing you may be asked to do is to graph some points. So negative 2, 3 is here. I think this is the same one we just did. 4, 1, 5, negative 3, and negative 5, negative 1. So you could be asked when you do your problems just to plot the points. That's one thing you could be asked to do. Another thing you could be asked to do is to graph, but you won't be given the ordered pairs. You'll be given it in a chart. So this chart has negative 4, positive 1, 2, 6, 4, negative 1, and negative 3, negative 6. So again, if you're asked to graph some ordered pairs, they may be in a chart and you put them onto the graph. They may be in a set of ordered pairs and you have to put them on the graph. Then you could be asked to do that in reverse. It may already be graphed for you and you have to say, where are these located? So I'm going to have a little brace thing there and I'm going to put an ordered pair. So I'm going to start with this one right here. It is a negative 5 along the x-axis and 1, 2, 3. So it's negative 5 on the x-axis and up 3 onto the y-axis. How about this point? It's negative 3 on the x and negative 3 on the y. So my next ordered pair would be negative 3, negative 3. How about this one? It is actually on the x-axis. So it's on 2 on the x-axis, but there is a 0 for the y because you don't go anywhere from there. This point is located at 4, 4. And make sure you're seeing where I'm getting these numbers. If not, ask your classroom teacher or send me a message saying I'm really not getting this. And then this last point is at 5. I'm afraid that I'll mess up. It's at 5, negative 5. So this is my set of ordered pairs for this graph. So you may be given a graph and have to name the relation, the set of ordered pairs that are on the graph. This next one says to put the graph as a table. So when you're making a table, it's a T-chart, which you probably used in a lot of classes. The left side will be the X's and the Y's. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So I'm going to say, where is this one? Well, it's over at 5 and up at 4. So it's at positive 5 and 4. It really doesn't matter which point you do first. This one down here is all the way over at 6 and all the way down at negative 6. So it's all the way over at 6, then down to negative 6. This point is on the y-axis. So the x has no value, 0. It has a value of 0, actually. It is a value. And then the y is at negative 3. But there's not a x is right, it's right on that axis. This one here is at negative 4, negative 3. And then this one here is at negative 3, 5. So again, you may be asked to do that. So what we're going to be practicing with this lesson is just seeing a relation and being able to take a set or a table or a graph and work with them interchangeably. Thank you for listening to this long lesson. And just remember, when you do the Google Earth and you really like that, it's because we have a coordinate system for that called latitude and longitude. And what we're going to be working with is our latitude will be our x-axis and our longitude will be our y-axis. It's a very similar concept of locating things on a graph. And a relation is a set of ordered pairs.